My mom told me, I wish I'd aborted you, after I refused to take the blame for what my golden sister did. My sister kept blaming me, but I stood my ground. Now her life collapsed. Hey, Reddit. Growing up, my younger sister was always my mom's favorite, and I got used to it. But one night changed everything. It started with a simple phone call and ended with my whole family seeing sides of each other we didn't expect. Here's what happened. So this whole thing started years ago when I was 22. I'm in my 30s now, but it still sticks with me like it just happened. My sister was 18 at the time, and we were both still living in the same town. We weren't super close, but I always thought we were all right. I mean, we were siblings, we argued here and there, but I didn't think she hated me or anything. Looking back, I was really naive about how she saw me. My parents are decent people, but very different in how they see things. My dad is a straight shooter. He's practical, logical, and he's worked his butt off his whole life. He owns a few businesses and is the kind of guy who believes in fairness and earning your place. My mom, on the other hand, is more emotional. She's protective, sometimes overly so, and she always favored my sister. Like, it was obvious to everyone. Family members joked about it, but my mom never denied it. She'd just smile and say, "She's my baby." Growing up, I noticed the difference, but I tried to ignore it. I was the older kid, so I was expected to be more responsible. I had to babysit, run errands, handle things around the house, and basically play the good son. My sister got away with everything. She'd lie, break stuff, talk back, and my mom would just shrug it off or defend her. Dad would call her out, but he was always the minority vote. Honestly, I thought it was just a normal family dynamic, even though deep down I knew it wasn't fair. I remember a time when we were about 10 and 6. She broke my mom's favorite vase while running around the house, and without even asking, my mom blamed me. I swore it wasn't me, but she didn't care. I got grounded for a week, and my sister sat there watching cartoons like nothing happened. Stuff like that happened so many times it just became normal. By the time I was 22, I had moved into my own apartment, working and going to school. My sister was finishing high school, thinking she ruled the world. She was popular, had a ton of friends, and my mom practically worshipped her. Dad was proud of me because I was paying my own bills. But that didn't seem to matter to Mom. Anyway, that's the stage when my parents decided to go on a trip. They loved skiing and booked a week away. They asked me to look in on the house just to keep an eye on things and be a backup adult, but said my sister would be staying there. They told her straight up, no gatherings, no nonsense, keep the place in one piece. And they reminded her more than once because she had a history of pushing boundaries. She nodded and said, okay. I figured she'd do her thing, watch TV, maybe have a couple friends over. I didn't think much about it. The day after my parents left, my phone buzzed. It was my sister. Hey, she said, all sweetness. So, I'm having some people over tonight. It's going to be really fun. I need you to do me a favor. I already knew where this was going. What kind of favor? Nothing big, she said quickly. Just pick something up for me on your way home. You can come by too, meet some people, maybe even someone cute. It'll be fun. I actually laughed. Nope, not happening. You know what Mom and Dad said, and I don't want to get involved. Instant switch. Are you serious? You're ruining everything. I already told people. Everyone's expecting this. That's your problem, not mine, I said. You should have asked before inviting half the town. She snapped, voice getting sharp. God, you're so boring. You never help me with anything. You think you're better than everyone just because you're older. I'm not better. I just know when something's stupid, I shot back. You're about to get yourself in trouble, and you want me to be part of it? Not happening. She replied, you're so selfish. It's just one little thing. Why do you always make things harder for me? I said, because it's not my job to cover for you every time you want to ignore rules. End of story. Fine, she yelled. Forget it. You're useless. Cool, I said, and hung up before she could keep going. I thought that was it. I figured maybe she'd be mad for a day or two, and life would move on. I underestimated her. She went full steam ahead with her plans. That night, I was at my apartment, studying and watching TV. But on social media, I started seeing posts about some big get-together. People tagging her, talking about this crazy night. I just rolled my eyes. It was typical her, always pushing limits. Now, here's the thing about our town. It's not huge, and the cops get bored. Any loud noise or commotion gets attention fast. So guess what? Someone called it in. Cops showed up. I didn't hear about that until the next day, but apparently it wasn't pretty. People scattered, and she got caught. The next morning started like any other. I woke up late, made some food, checked my phone, and planned to do some laundry and boring chores. My sister wasn't even on my mind. I figured whatever she did the night before was over and done. Maybe a mess at the house, but nothing crazy. Then there was a loud knock. Not friendly. I looked through the peephole and saw two officers. My stomach dropped. They asked if I was me, came inside, and started asking about my parents' house. I told them my sister was staying there. They started in with questions like they already knew the answers. Where was I last night? Did I go by the house? Did I bring anything? I said no, I was at work, then home. They didn't look convinced. Then they told me my sister said I was the one who made the whole thing possible. I just stood there stunned. I hadn't even been near the place. I told her no when she asked me for help, and now she was blaming me? It hit harder because it was family. They said I had to come with them and I wasn't under arrest, but I had to come in. I asked if I could grab a jacket and my phone. They said yes. I kept thinking it was a mix-up, but when someone official is writing things down and staring at you like you're guilty, it feels different. I told them again I was at work, then home, but they just said we'd talk at the station. They put me in the back like I was some kind of problem. I was watching the buildings go by and thinking about how stupid everything was. I pictured my sister at the house with people and loud music and a big mess, and then her deciding I should take the blame because it was easier for her. I felt angry, but mostly I felt numb. That numb feeling where your chest is tight, but your head is just buzzing. At the station, they took my phone and asked the same questions over and over. Where was I? Who could prove it? Did I buy or move anything? I stayed calm, gave exact times, told them about work cameras and the ones at my apartment, and said my car never left. I even offered my banking app to show no purchases. They nodded but didn't look convinced. Then they said they'd called my parents. I hated that part. I knew my dad would listen, but my mom? She'd believe my sister first. When they said my parents were flying back early, I felt half relieved and half sick, knowing this was about to blow up bigger than I wanted. They asked me to give a longer statement, so I did. I included everything. Facts only. I asked again about the cameras. The officer finally took notes on that and said they'd request footage. I gave them my work's address, the name of my supervisor, and the name of the apartment manager. I even told them the exact space number where I parked the night before. Then I called my dad. He picked up on the second ring. I barely got the words out before he told me to slow down and tell him what happened, step by step. I did, and he listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't accuse. He just said, "All right, we're coming. Don't say anything you're unsure of. Stick to facts." Then my mom got on the phone, and everything felt tense again. She didn't yell, but she kept saying, "Why would your sister say that if it wasn't true?" I told her I didn't know. I said maybe she panicked. She said, "This is such a mess," and then handed the phone back to my dad. They kept me overnight for questioning. I wasn't charged. By the time evening rolled around, the officers had more info. They'd looked up my workplace hours and matched video times to my exit. They hadn't gotten the apartment footage yet, but they said they'd asked. My bank records were easy. I signed a form and they checked. Nothing matched what my sister told them. It wasn't, "You're free to go yet," but at least the tone changed. They weren't talking to me like they'd already decided I was guilty. Morning came, and they let me rinse my face in a tiny sink. A guy came by with some papers and said things were moving. He didn't promise anything, but he wasn't cold about it either. He asked me if there was anything else they should know. I said yes. My dad keeps his liquor cabinet at home for guests, and I told them my sister could have taken from there instead of getting anything from me. I hated saying it because I knew it would make my dad feel betrayed. But if the truth hurt, it hurt. Eventually, they brought me to a room and told me my parents had arrived. When they walked in, my dad looked tired and focused. My mom looked like she hadn't slept at all. I said, "I'm sorry," even though I hadn't done anything wrong, because I hated that they had to fly back for this. My dad just hugged me. My mom stood a few feet away. She finally asked me, why would she say that? I said, because she didn't want to deal with the consequences. I could see my mom didn't want to hear that. My dad put a hand on her shoulder and then asked the officers to walk us through what happens next. They said they were waiting on more footage, and that they were also going to send someone over to our house to check the cabinet. My mom stiffened at that. My dad just nodded. He said, "Do what you need to do." After that, they let me leave but told me not to go anywhere far. My dad drove me back to my apartment while my mom rode along. Mostly quiet. My dad kept asking little questions. What exactly did she say? Did she mention anyone else? Did she admit she took anything? I told him everything I knew. She called me, wanted me to help her. I refused. Then she flipped and tried to put me under the bus. When we got to my place, my dad told me to grab any receipts or anything that might help. My mom just kept shaking her head. She wasn't crying, but her face was tight. She kept saying things like, She wouldn't lie like that. And this is just too much. I didn't bother arguing with her because I knew she wasn't going to believe me until it was shoved in her face. Later that day, Dad went straight to the house with the officers. I didn't go. I didn't want to see my sister. I stayed home, watched my phone light up with notifications and messages from cousins and aunts asking what happened. I didn't reply. I didn't know what to say. I didn't want gossip. I just wanted things fixed. When my dad came back, he looked exhausted. He had a small bag and said, "Evidence." They'd checked his cabinet. Stuff was missing and half empty. My mom kept saying, she panicked, she's scared, she didn't mean it. More worried about her future than the fact she almost ruined mine. Over the next few days, Dad showed the officers everything. Photos of the cabinet, my work hours, security footage of me going straight home, even video of my car parked all night. My bank records were clean. Meanwhile, my sister kept changing her story. First I drove over, then she claimed she came to my place. But nothing matched. No car scene, no proof. Every lie just made her look worse. When it was finally clear to everyone that she was lying, my dad didn't say much. My mom finally spoke up, saying things like, "She's just scared. She didn't mean it." But you could tell even she wasn't sure anymore. And me? I was just tired. I wasn't even angry the same way I was before. It's like when you get so disappointed you can't even yell, you just want it to stop. That night, I heard a knock on my apartment door. It was my mom. For a second, I actually thought she might be there to say sorry. I let her in, and she didn't even sit down before starting. "You need to fix this," she said, voice sharp. "Fix what?" I asked. "This thing with your sister. Just tell the police you made a mistake. Say you gave it to her. They'll let it go easier if you admit it. She's just a kid. She can't have this on her record." I froze. "You're kidding, right? I didn't do anything. Why would I lie and ruin my own name for her?" She said, "She's 18. She has her whole future ahead of her. You're older, you'll recover. You have a job, your life is already started. This could destroy her." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "So you'd rather destroy me? Your son? For her? She's my baby," she snapped, almost like it explained everything. "You've always been strong. You can handle this." I felt my chest tighten. "You're asking me to lie to the police? Do you even hear yourself? She screwed up, Mom. She lied about me and nearly got me arrested. She panicked. She didn't mean it." My mom's voice was rising now. "You don't understand what it's like for her. She's been under so much pressure." "Under pressure?" I nearly laughed. "She had a party and threw me under the bus because it was easier. And you're still covering for her. Or, do you even care what that does to me?" "You're being selfish," she shot back. "You've always been so cold with her. You think you're perfect, but you're not." I just stared at her. "Selfish?" She lied. She almost wrecked my future. And you're standing here acting like I should take the hit for her. You've always taken her side. Always. "That's not true," she snapped. "You're just bitter because she's younger and gets more attention." I couldn't even hold back then. "Attention? You treat her like she can do no wrong. No matter what she does, you cover for her. Even now, when she's hurting the people who care about her. She's your favorite and you can't even admit it." My mom's face went red. Her voice cracked when she shouted, "I wish I'd aborted you." It hit me like a punch to the chest. I didn't even answer. She grabbed her purse and slammed the door so hard the neighbor opened theirs to look. I stood there, then picked up my phone and called my dad. Told him everything word for word. He didn't even sound surprised. Just angry. "I'll handle it," he said. And later, I found out they had one of the biggest fights of their marriage. My dad told her straight up, if she kept defending my sister's lies and couldn't see what was happening, he'd leave. That was the first time I realized he saw everything for what it was. The next day, he called me and said, "We're doing counseling. It's either that or this family's done." When we went, it was rough. My sister sat there acting like she didn't care. My mom sat stiff. My dad did most of the talking at first. Then it was my turn, and I laid it all out. I talked about the phone call, the accusations, the arrest, but also the years of favoritism, all the little things I had ignored growing up. I even had a list I'd written down. Times she lied. Times my mom believed her no matter what. Times I got punished for nothing. The counselor kept quiet while I talked. Mom tried to jump in every few minutes with, "She was just stressed." Or, "You know she didn't mean it that way." Like excuses mattered more than the truth. My sister finally tried to say, "That's not true." But each time I reminded her of the details. My mom tried to defend her, but Dad shut it down. That was the first time my sister actually stayed quiet. Counseling was tense. We sat like strangers at first, but that room gave me permission to finally speak. My mom tried to interrupt once, but the counselor stopped her and told her to let me talk. My dad was steady, watching and nodding as if to say, "You see?" My sister mostly stayed quiet, sometimes looking angry or embarrassed, but she never apologized. Around this time, the legal stuff was moving too. My dad hired a lawyer to push for a record correction and ensure I wasn't named as a suspect. The report still had my name in it. My dad wanted everything cleared. He was serious about making sure nothing stuck. He even told me to keep records of everything: texts, calls, dates. He said, if she's willing to lie once, she might try again. That hit me hard, but he was right. Meanwhile, my sister's situation was not looking good. There were charges. Minor stuff compared to what could have happened, but still serious. She had been caught lying to the police, resisting when they came to the house, and she basically threw her own brother under the bus. My mom begged my dad to make it go away, but even she could see it was too late for that. My dad told her straight up, this isn't about saving her. This is about teaching her. The court stuff dragged on. I stayed out of it except when I had to provide proof. The officers actually apologized to me quietly. I appreciated the apology, though. When it was time for court, I didn't even sit with them. I stayed back. Watching my mom fuss over my sister like she was the victim was painful, but not surprising. My dad was calm, but you could tell he was disappointed. The lawyer did what lawyers do. My sister didn't even look at me once. She pled guilty to the smaller stuff because the evidence was stacked. The lawyer's whole thing was to make it seem like she was young and panicked, that she made a dumb choice but wasn't malicious. The judge issued city fines connected to the number of guests, probation for a couple years, and therapy. That therapy part was Dad's favorite. He leaned over to me after and said, at least she'll have to listen to someone besides your mother now. I wish I could say this was the point she apologized. Nope. Not once did she say sorry. If anything, she looked mad, like we were all against her. It was surreal. Here's this girl who caused all of this, nearly wrecked her own brother's reputation, cost my parents thousands, and she's sitting there like she's the victim. When it was over, I went back to my life. My mom and I barely talked for a while. She knew I was still hurt about what she said at my apartment. She'd text sometimes, "How are you?" But it felt hollow. I answered politely but kept it short. My sister stayed in her bubble. She did her probation, went to therapy because she had to, and pretended everything was fine. We'd see each other at family dinners sometimes, but she'd barely look my way. I kept my head down and focused on my stuff. A couple years later, she went off to college. My dad and I were getting along better than ever. He taught me things about his businesses and slowly trusted me with small tasks. My mom, well, she still tried to make excuses for my sister now and then, but even she was quieter about it. I think deep down she knew she messed up too. Then one day, my sister just left. She graduated college and moved to California. Barely said goodbye. Didn't call. My mom cried about it. My dad just shrugged and said, she made her choice. I didn't care. Honestly, I felt relief. I didn't want the stress anymore. Meanwhile, I'm running one of my dad's smaller businesses by now. I've got a decent apartment, a car that's mine, bills are paid on time. I'm proud of myself because I worked for it. My dad always said he wanted me to earn my own stuff, even though he had money. It makes sense now because I know how hard it was for him to build what he built. My sister was living in California, as I mentioned. New job, new people, whole different world. She barely called my mom. She never called me. She never called my dad either, and I think that's what really broke something in him. He'd given her so much, even paid for school, and helped her land that job. He didn't even brag about it. He just wanted her to be okay. But she never said thank you. She just kind of ghosted all of us. Somewhere in there, I wrote about everything on Reddit. I didn't use names or details that could identify us, but I wanted to get it off my chest and hear what other people thought. Then one day she found my post. I don't know how. Someone must have sent it to her, or maybe she spends too much time on Reddit. Whatever the reason, she saw it. She called my mom first, screaming. My phone lit up like a Christmas tree with texts from my mom. Why did you write about her? Take it down. You're making us look bad. I was at work, just sitting there staring at my phone like, really? After all this time, this is what makes her call home? Then my sister called me. I didn't even recognize her number at first. I answered and she went straight to yelling, no hello, nothing. It was like listening to a siren. I hung up. She texted me paragraphs after that, threatening, saying she'd sue, saying I ruined her image. I didn't answer. Then she called again, and this time I told her, if you scream, I'm hanging up again. And guess what? She screamed. So I blocked her. But she wasn't done. She called my parents again, trying to get them to force me to delete it. My dad told her flat out, It's his story. We're not getting involved. My mom, of course, was upset, saying it made her look like a bad mom. I told her I didn't lie about anything. That shut her up for a bit. I finally talked to my sister one more time because she texted from another number. I answered because I was tired of the games. She started yelling about how I always had it easier, how she was never the golden child, and how I was exaggerating. I laughed. I told her I didn't care what she called it. She lied. I got dragged through hell for it, and she never even said sorry. She hated that I laughed. Then she said what my mom once said to me. I wish mom never had you. I just said, well, cool. Bye. And hung up. That was when my dad decided to make things clear. He told her she was officially out of the will. He told her she'd get a small settlement and nothing else. She called him crying, said it wasn't fair. My dad told her what wasn't fair was her framing her brother and treating the family like trash. She blocked all of us after that. Months went by. We all kind of settled into life without her. My mom still missed her, but even she had to admit my sister caused her own problems. My dad and I got closer. He started teaching me bigger things. It was like finally being seen. Then, early this year, my sister showed up again. No call, no warning. She just showed up at my parents' door with some guy and a little plastic test. She said she was pregnant, 2 months along. My mom nearly cried from joy, but my dad wasn't buying it. He even suggested they take another test just to be sure. She actually did it, and it was positive. She said she wanted to make things right, wanted her kid to know their grandparents. My mom wanted to believe her so badly. My dad didn't. He said, you can stay for a bit, but if you want a place in this family, you have to work for it. He laid it out. Therapy again, group talks, and she had to apologize to me. At first, she played nice. She smiled, she laughed, she acted like she was back in the family. But when it came time to talk to me, the act cracked. She asked me to meet her and the guy at a restaurant. I went, mostly because I wanted to see if she'd actually say sorry. We sat down, and right away I could tell it wasn't going to be real. She started mumbling. When her boyfriend told her to speak up, she elbowed him in the stomach. He excused himself. Then she leaned back in her chair and said, I guess I'm sorry, but really this never would have happened if you just helped me that night. You always think you're better than me. I couldn't believe it. She was blaming me again. I said, you still don't get it. You lied, you dragged me through hell, and you still want to make it my fault? She shrugged like she didn't care and said, whatever. You're so dramatic. You got over it, didn't you? I sat there quiet for a second because I wanted to see if she'd realize how stupid that sounded. She didn't. I told her she still didn't get it. I told her I was done. I paid my part of the bill and walked out. My parents found out because the restaurant has cameras and audio, and my dad knows the owner. They got the video that same day. My mom's first reaction wasn't anger. It was, she's pregnant. She's emotional. Still trying to soften the blow instead of admitting she was wrong. They played it for her, and when she heard herself say that, she went nuts. She yelled, stormed out, packed her things, and left. Drove straight back to California. I thought she'd stay gone for good, but then the calls started again to my parents. My mom especially. She sent texts, some polite, some angry, some just long rants. She sent ultrasound pictures, updates, even little digs like, you'll never see your grandkid if you keep letting him talk about me. My dad stayed firm. He told her straight, we'll support the child if you allow it, but don't think for a second that this erases what you did. And yet first my mom was torn. She's always been softer with my sister, and a grandchild was something she's wanted for years. She wanted to just forgive and move on. But even she couldn't ignore the video from that restaurant, hearing my sister basically admit she still blamed me. Meanwhile, I just stayed out of it. I was tired of the drama. My days were long, but I liked it. I was learning things about management, payroll, dealing with people, stuff I never thought I'd care about. It felt good to be trusted. And yeah, part of me enjoyed knowing that after everything, Dad trusted me with his work and basically cut my sister out. It wasn't about revenge. It was just finally being seen for what I did, not what I didn't do. My sister tried calling me once more, from another number. I answered because I didn't recognize it. She started off sweet, but within a minute she was saying stuff like, you turned everyone against me. I didn't argue, I just said, you did that yourself. You did. And then she started crying, saying she was alone. Her boyfriend dumped her, and she didn't know what to do. For a second, I almost felt bad. Then she said, if you had just covered for me back then, none of this would have happened. That snapped me right out of it. I said, you're still blaming me? Grow up. Then I blocked the number. A couple weeks later, she sent a long message to my parents. She wanted money. She said the baby was coming. She needed help. My dad responded with his list. He said it wasn't negotiable. She read it and basically exploded through text, saying we were all horrible, saying dad was controlling, saying I ruined her life. The thing is, even my mom didn't rush to defend her this time. She was sad, but she kept saying, "You need to change if you want help." That shocked me because my mom had always been her biggest supporter. I think she finally got tired too. So where we stand now is this. She's still pregnant. Last I heard, maybe 6 or 7 months by now. She's sending my mom updates, but they're short and to the point. No calls, no small talk. Dad kept following through on those plans, even talking about a fund like he'd mentioned before. I think he's hoping that when the baby's older, we'll be able to have some kind of relationship that's not poisoned by all this stuff. For me, life kept going. I stopped waiting for her to change. I stopped hoping for an apology. I realized some people just don't have it in them to admit they're wrong, especially when they've been told they're perfect their whole lives. My dad told me once, "We tried to raise you both right, but we made mistakes." She's going to have to learn the hard way. My mom told me recently she wants to try therapy again, just for herself this time. She said she finally sees how much damage favoritism did. She even said she's sorry for all those times she didn't believe me, for coming to my apartment that night and asking me to take the blame. She cried when she said it. I didn't know what to say, so I just said, "Thanks." It was weird, but it meant something. It's strange. My sister nearly wrecked our family years ago. She's still causing ripples. But somehow, through all of it, I got closer to my dad. My mom is starting to understand. And I'm actually proud of where I am. Our family is smaller now. There's a space where my sister used to be, but I'm learning to accept that. I know some people will say, "But she's family." And yeah, she is. But family doesn't give you the right to wreck someone else's life and then act like it's fine. Maybe one day she'll figure that out. Maybe she won't. Either way, it's not my job to fix her. When I think about the kids she's having, I just hope she treats them better than she treated me, better than she treated our parents. I hope the baby grows up happy and doesn't have to pick sides or live with constant drama. My dad's already talking about setting up a fund for them. He says, "The kid didn't do anything wrong." He's right. I'd like to meet my niece or nephew someday, but only if it's safe and healthy. People sometimes ask me if I'd take her back if she apologized. Honestly, I don't know. It would have to be real, not some fake half apology. She'd have to admit she was wrong, not just blame me like always. That day might never come, and that's fine. I'm done waiting for it. This whole mess taught me a lot. It taught me to keep records, to stand up for myself, and to not let guilt push me around. It taught me that parents can mess up too, but sometimes they can learn and try to fix things. And it taught me that being the responsible one sucks sometimes, but it can also pay off in the long run. Don't let someone else's bad choices define your life, even if it's family, even if you love them. Protect yourself. Speak up, because at the end of the day, you have to live with what happens, not them. So that's it. My sister's gone, I'm doing my thing, my parents are working on themselves, and maybe someday we'll all sit in a room and laugh about this. But if we don't, I'm okay with that.